c4, knight f6, g3, d5. Yeah, black just plays it like in the Grunfeld. Yeah, this is of course a playable option for black and quite often played by players who play the Grunfeld against 1d4. Black can play in this move order if he wants to go for this formation, or occasionally they start with g6 and play d5 now. In both cases we get to the same position. My file here, I went for d5 immediately, takes, bishop g2, and here black, by the way, has an option to not go into this Grunfeld style position. He can transpose now with c5 or e5 to lines examined earlier via c4, c5 or c4, e5. This does not happen that often actually, because if you start like that you are a Grunfeld guy and play g6. It's just what happens in most cases. Just be ready that that can happen. Yeah, they can play e5 or c5. Okay, white now after g6 could transpose into mainline Grunfeld with d4, later e4. This is of course a respectable line that white can go for. If you play the Fianchetto Grunfeld with white or play the Fianchetto variation and know that, you can do that. No harm in transposing. However, in this case I think objectively speaking the move knight c3 is actually better. I believe that after knight c3 here, black does not equalize. At least I don't really see how. I mean, he can get, of course, playable position. He did not do anything totally stupid yet. It's just that I believe it's not a full equality, or white is at least more comfortable in all lines as far as I can see. The most respectable move now is probably knight to b6, even though knight takes c3 is played quite often. Of course we will take with the b pawn, and after bishop g7 we have a choice to make. The traditional main move, and still quite good, is rook to b1. I think that white will also get a slight advantage with that move. Black now has to be careful about the b7 pawn. Sometimes it tries to be tricky, setting up a trap like with castling. Bishop b7, bishop takes, rook takes is answered with queen d5, and all of a sudden both rooks are hanging. Not a good idea. After castles you should play rook takes b7. This is quite funny, and white will win the exchange because the rook cannot escape from the capture of the bishop. Okay, this is just a little trick of course. In most cases black answers rook b1 with knight to c6, and after following, let's say, knight f3, castles, b6, and then a normal move like queen c2, intending like d3 and so on. I think that white will always be a little bit better. He's got one more pawn in the center, and there is no totally clear counterplay for black against white center, because white has not yet occupied the center. He has not yet decided on a central formation. This kind of position is of course not terrible for black, but I believe white can be quite happy with his prospects here. Still, I'd like to point you to a different move. Going back to this, I think that the move h4 is even more promising than rook b1. The reason is that black probably has to react to the h-pawn. Well, you can actually scratch the probably. He has to react to this. If he is just playing, let's say, castles, then after h5 this will be a dangerous attack in the making. Even this completely caveman style queen move can be fatal. Queen h7 checkmate, it happened. Yeah? So black has to do something here, and his choice is h5 or h6. After h6 white will just play as he does in other lines. You can go rook b1. You can also like rook b1, knight c6, and let's just play like d4, knight f3, and let's say after knight a5 preparing c5 we go knight e5. This is not a totally forced line or anything. My idea is just I wanted to show you a certain strategic point. These moves here, they did not help black with the move f6. F6, white can take this. So this weakening on the king side has given white more options in the center. So there's a direct relation between a move like h4 and central play. A move like h4 is far more sophisticated than you might think at first. It looks like we just want to checkmate with easy moves. But okay, it might happen if black plays something stupid. But if he reacts correctly, we still have some interesting positional ideas with this. The alternative is h5. And this is the more frequently played move. Let's have a look at this. No, what did I do here? So h4, h5, now I got it. Yeah, rook b1 again, knight c6, and now you can even go with this route. Knight f3 is also okay, of course. I'm getting at a certain point. I want to show you this. The knight has a very nice square on g5 now. It can be not easily expelled with f6, as this weakens the king side even more. g6 is especially weak. Here white even has brutal ideas like pushing the pawn all the way through e6. Again, the insertion of h4, h5 has given white additional options like putting a piece on g5. Also note that if the knight comes to e4, let's unpaint a bit, comes to e4, the move f5 is also more difficult to play as g5 is so severely weakened, and the whole king side. So I believe white has a slight advantage here. Back to this position. As mentioned, black has a choice between taking and going back to b6. Knight b6 is a little bit more frequently seen. Against this, we put the priority on developing the queen side. So we start with d3, bishop g7, and bishop e3. There's a very clear reason why we don't play knight f3 yet. It's not yet necessary, and we have more pressing things to do. And what we have to do is h4. This is an absolutely key idea that we will see in many of the lines. With d3, bishop e3, we on one hand put pressure towards the queen side, but also prepare queen d2, bishop h6 again with attacking ideas. Black now has a pretty fundamental choice. He can play knight c6 or he can castle short. I actually believe that castling short is pretty reliably leading to a white advantage. Problem is that after h4, black has this issue again, what to do here. h6, h5, none of the above. Ignoring it is not a good idea. Yeah? Allowing h5, queen d2, bishop h6 is a recipe for disaster. Black should react there. I think the move h6 is already leading into very difficult situation for black. Queen d2, king h7. The best move here is actually h5 from a technical point of view, but nobody plays that. Yeah? If they play h6, they want to play king h7. Yeah, and now white has a good opportunity for h5. An interesting idea is f4. This was played by the German under-16 world champion Rowan Vogel in 2015 against Polish, I think she's a WGM, Marta Bartel. Yeah, interesting move, f4. He controls g5 and then wants to go h5. Yeah, in fact, Bartel now played h5, but yeah, g4 was the reply. It's a very cool motif that I wanted to show. If the bishop takes on g4, then white will win the pawn on b7 and the exchange. In fact, this wasn't even that clear. This is what black should do now, and it leads to a very wild position. This is also why I think h5 instead of f4 is even better. Just a very cool idea. If black takes this, then h5 is more than dangerous. Let's go back. Instead of Rowan's f4, I think h5 is longer. Yeah, black has to go g5 and then f4. We break open this immediately. After something like this, c6, knight f3, white is just a lot better. He's better developed. He will castle long, put something on the g file, and black's king is just unsafe. So this is a pretty disastrous opening result. After castles h4, as we have seen, h6 is not particularly great. I think h5 is better. Still, after the obvious queen d2, black has to be careful again. The thing is, white is actually threatening something here. He wants to go g4 at the right moment. So what is black supposed to do? If he goes rook e8, for example, we go g4. Yeah, bishop takes, bishop b7 wins the exchange, and I don't think it's enough this time. H takes h5. Yeah, this is not the kind of position that black likes to play. Here white has a fantastic attack. So how is he supposed to do? Go back here. Rook e8 is already probably a mistake. Maybe bishop knight c6. Here you can just take and play bishop h6. First kill black's pawn structure, then make sure to get the bishop pair. This will just be a long time torture for black. Those pawns are weak and he's got very little in terms of dynamic counterplay here. Maybe c6 is the most solid move. Against this, just bishop h6. Let's get rid of the fianchettoed bishop. Yeah, and black again has to be careful. In one game between the Italian Grandmaster Dvirni and the black player Henseler, black played bishop g4. And it doesn't look like the greatest move ever at first sight, but it actually is already a big mistake. Here Dvirni played f3, bishop f5, and now if he had played e4, he already would have gotten almost decisive advantage. e4, bishop moves again, and then g4. Yeah, very crude but very effective. This attack, yeah, black cannot survive. It's just awful, this position. Yeah, so let's go back all the way. What does that mean? I think that castles is actually, let's unpaint, castles is actually a little bit premature there. Knight c6 is the main move. Now my recommendation is to play knight f3, just develop the knight. A principled option for white is to just take this and yeah, make sure that black's pawn structure is destroyed. The difference between the capture that we had like 1 minute ago and this is that here black gets an h5 and manages to prevent bishop h6. So we will keep his strong g7 bishop. I think here in this position white might be a little bit better, but I think that the lines that I'm going to show you, the main lines after 8, knight f3, are even more comfortable. However, if you like this kind of principled play, like kill his pawn structure and see if you can grind him down, yeah, just like snuff the activity and then win with the structure, not a bad choice. Knight f3 is the move that I'm proposing. Note that queen d2 is not so precise because of knight d4. So knight f3, and here black is somewhat running out of moves, castles then, and it's not as risky as it was before. Queen d2, and now black has a choice, rook e8 or e5. Rook e8 usually shows the intention of playing bishop h6, bishop h8. Pretty ambitious keeping this on the board. In fact, I believe it isn't very good. After h4, h5, white's attack will be very, very strong. Yeah, here the most logical move is certainly e5, putting something in the center. However, it led to big problems in one game. Alternatively, maybe centralize with knight d4, but again, h5, maybe takes, c6. After this, white is just a lot better. Yeah, h takes, we can castle long, or we can put the king on g2. Both is good. And white's attack, it's a very simple attack, like rook here, or to h4, double, and then just attack, attack, attack. Black's counterplay is very, very slow. Going back to h4 here, e5 was played in a somewhat high-level game between Stephen Gordon and David Howell. h5 was played, knight d4, and here white's attack again was very, very strong. After f6, Stephen Gordon played the move bishop f8. Funky choice. It was strong. He had a huge advantage, and I don't want to analyze this now in detail, make the video longer. This was strong, but the simple long castles intending to play like rook h2, rook h1 is also good. A good meaning that if white is not doing something stupid, he should win the game. The computer is giving winning evaluations in all those lines already, like plus 1.7, something like that. The attack is just extremely strong, and where is black's counterplay? So I believe that in fact after queen d2, e5 is a better choice, and then after h4 black should just play h5, yeah, and stop everything. Note that a move like bishop g4 doesn't lead to anything, as white has knight h2, bishop back, and then h5. And all those positions give good attacking chances. Alternatively, you can look at 10, knight d4, h5, bishop g4, takes, knight h2, back, long castles. And you know, this is so simple to play. You play bishop h6, and I mean, it's the easiest play ever. So black definitely after 10 h4 should stop all this with h5. Yeah, now we go castles, knight d4. This is black's main asset. He has a good knight on d4. And now my recommendation is bishop g5, f6, and bishop h6. And I think white is a little bit better. This is a position that you can compare with the dragon reversed. It's the same structure, c pawn traded against d pawn, and black having put a pawn into the center with e5. Here we have a couple of additional moves, let's say, on the king side. White has played h4, which is a kind of neutral move. It doesn't hurt white much, it doesn't also net white much, but black has played, compared to the dragon, f6. Well, that he does play quite often there, but g6 and h5, and this is a huge weakness here on the on the king side. So long term, this can be a problem. I think that white has a slight advantage due to this fact. The whole structure is slightly more advantageous for white anyway, but with those weaknesses on the king side, I think white is clearly for choice. I mean, he's clearly for choice, but not by much. I'm not saying that black is in huge trouble here, but white can be, I think, quite happy with this. All in all, I think that this type of Grunfeld play is not particularly great after c4. In fact, on Chess24 there's a video series of Peter Swidler's on the Grunfeld, and he also gives some hints how to play against one knight f3 and one c4, and he also does not recommend this kind of move order. He goes for a c5 and then d5 based setup in his videos. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the coverage of